Well, I hope you've been enjoying the session videos that I've been uploading right here every week onto YouTube. I've had loads of feedback. Thanks very much to those people who've commented and sent me messages regarding those session videos. They've just been a nice opportunity to go and visit one or two new venues, or venues you might not have seen and venues that I haven't seen, where, because it's not in a match situation, I can actually talk to you and just kind of show you a lot of the things and a lot of the details that I tend to skip over when I'm fishing in a match, purely because I don't usually have the time to go in depth about things like that. And if that's the kind of thing you're really into, the really in-depth stuff, then just check out my other channel, Patreon TV. That's what that's all about, more in-depth videos like that. But the reason for this upload is I've just got back from the bank. I've just been filming this week's session video, so I'm really hoping you're going to enjoy that. As soon as I've put it together, I'm going to upload that to YouTube later on this week, so I hope you're going to enjoy that. Since we have been allowed to go back out fishing since lockdown, it's been amazing how many more anglers there are now on the bank. You know, we've seen lots of people that have returned to fishing, and lots of people have just taken up fishing, and I think that's fantastic for the sport. Yes, it's meant that some venues have been a little bit crowded, or very popular, should I say. But that's, you know, for the big picture of actual angling, then, you know, that it is a major plus. You know, rod license sales have gone up as well, so it's great to see so many people on the bank, and it's led to an influx of messages that I've been getting through YouTube, through Facebook, through emails and all sorts of things, from anglers talking about baits. You know, obviously, you know, if you was an angler pre-1995 maybe, a lot of the baits that we're using now are very kind of new. They're alien to them. They've come back into the sport. And obviously we're revolving more, and we're talking more about commercial type baits. Yes, there are the ground baits, but there are the boilies, the wafters, the pellets and all that sort of thing. And it's just a complete minefield. This morning I actually went into 2 tattle shops this morning before my session out filming on the bank, and it was just amazing how many different baits there are out there. And one of the common questions that I keep getting asked now, and I've been asked on the bank today, so this is the reason why I'm flagging this up in this recent, you know, this most recent upload for you, and it's basically about hook baits. And when you're carrying boilies and wafters and all pop-ups and all that sort of thing, lots of people ask me about how I actually carry them to the bank and what selection I actually carry with me. Now, as you can imagine, I'm very fortunate in the sense that a lot of the competitions I compete in, I like to have my A game with me. Yes, you know, you might go through plan A, plan B, plan C in a match, especially when things aren't going quite right, but you've got to have a selection of baits with you, and I tend to stick to the ones that I am really confident in, and the ones that I know some of the top anglers use, and I know they use them. I don't just rely on their word of mouth that they say they use them. I use them because I have seen them and witnessed them catching fish with them, and if the lads at the top level are using them, then, you know, they tend to be baits that I've already got confidence in anyway. So I tend to carry 6 different types of wafters and boilies with me, and pop-ups that I carry wherever I go. Now, I've seen someone today, he's got a cool bag about this big, and I've seen this so many times, and even some of the anglers that I fish with quite regular still do this. As you can imagine, you go into a shop and you buy some pellets or some hook baits, and you try them out. You might use 2, 3, 4, 5 of them in a session, and then you don't catch anything with them, so you just put them back in your box, and then next time you're in the tattle shop you want to try something new. And, you know, we've all been there, we all do it, and we will continue to do that, but inevitably that means that you're going to end up with a bag full of different hook baits. So I like to keep my options really small, not too complicated, but something that's going to cover most situations. So whenever I'm going to a venue where I'm going to be fishing in a commercial way, or if I'm going to be fishing with a method feeder, especially a method feeder, I always carry this little bag of hook baits. Okay, now this is by no means a push for these products. These products are in clear tubs, okay, but it's more about telling you the types of hook baits that I carry. There are hundreds out there, so I'm sure you've all got your favourites, but this is it's the new mini bait bag from Matrix, which has been a brilliant bit of kit, because it just means that everything I carry, if I'm going to go method feeder fishing or anywhere where I think I'm going to be fishing that sort of way, I just put that bag in there and it's got all my hook baits in there. And obviously when I'm not going to be doing that, if I'm heading off to a natural venue where it's more traditional style feeder fishing and that sort of thing, I can simply take that out and I'm not carrying it with me. Okay, so this bait bag, it's got 6 different tubs in here. And these 6 different options are going to cover just about all the eventualities that I come across in my fishing. Okay, now there are different types of tubs in here. Okay, so the first ones that I always carry with me, and these are in a deeper tub, as you can see, and that's because I use more of them. There are 2 different types of tubs in here. There's a smaller one and a deeper one, a larger one. Okay, so the larger one is, as you can see, it's pellets. There's an assortment there of pellets. It's just about the #1 bait on all commercials now. These are what a lot of these fish have been reared on. It's the only bait, or the main bait, they've only ever seen. So in there I will carry a selection of hard pellets that I can put on a band, and there are some 4s in there, but it's very, very rare I use a 4mm. They are mainly 6s and 8mm in there, and as you can see there's some Robin Reds in there as well, which are already pre-drilled, so that I can pull a band into those or fish them on a hair. So I've got different ways of presenting a hard pellet, and that's in the deeper tub, like I say, and that's because, you know, that is a very, very common hook bait for me to be using. Okay, now in the other deeper tub, which needs topping up, I've used quite a few of these today, so I will be topping that up from the tackle room, from the stock. Okay, so this is a deeper tub, so that means I use more of these than anything else. These are wafters, basically. These are the All Sorts wafters, and they are in sizes 8s and 10s, 8 and 10 mils, and these are the ones that I tend to use when I'm targeting proper carp. So not F1s, not skimmers, bream. You can obviously catch all those fish on these, but I carry those in those sizes because they just tend to be a little bit more selective for picking out the bigger carp. So I tend to use them more on open water venues like Barston, Larford. I used them at the weekend at Fleets Dam because it was open water. So they're the ones, they're the All Sorts that I carry in 8mm and 10mm. Okay, so they will obviously need topping up as soon as I finish filming this, ready for my next session. Now in this section over here, these are the smaller tubs. Okay, now the first ones here in a shallower tub, these are Bandams. Okay, these are the Ringer's Bandams, but I know there are lots out there, and these are a slightly different shape, and that's really, it means they're not round, it means they're ideal for putting a band round. Now these are the mini ones. Okay, so the reason why I carry these is because they're less selective. That's the key term, basically. Because these are only about a 4 or a 5mm in size, I think they're a 4 or 5. These are very, very less selective, so these will literally catch anything. So I tend to use these more if I'm putting a method feeder line in where I'm fishing for skimmers and bream. These sorts of fish, you know, there are places like Barston and several fisheries up and down the country have had a bit of an explosion of smaller skimmers. Now this time of year you might not want those because you want the bigger carp, and that's when we use the bigger baits, simple as that. However, in winter, quite often we just really want to catch anything we can, and that could mean if you're catching 8-ounce skimmers, 10-ounce skimmers, they could really be the backbone of your net of fish. You know, if you can catch 1 or 2 bigger bonus fish to go with that net of fish, that's great. So these tend to be the ones that I use if I'm specifically targeting smaller fish like skimmers, and I will use them in winter as well because you can catch anything on those because of their size. And I've got 2 different colours in there, yellow and reds, or is that pink fluoro? But you can see the colours there. So I carry a tub of those as well. Okay, now underneath there we've got another tub, and that basically says it all. Pop-ups. It's not very often I catch with pop-ups, I'll be absolutely honest with you, and they tend to work better on certain venues than others, but I do obviously carry a selection. Now I only carry yellow and white, and that's, for some reason, they're the main colours that I've only ever caught on. I've never really had much success with red for some reason, but that's just maybe because of the time of year and venue that I've used them. Okay, and I've got a selection in there of 8s and 10s in yellow and white. Okay, so always have some pop-ups that are great for just presenting your bait up off the bottom. Certainly at this time of year when fish are cruising around in the upper layers, they can get you out of drail, and it's amazing how many times if you do catch a fish on a pop-up, sometimes, quite often, it tends to be the bigger fish as well, so always good to carry some of those with you. The next ones are these, well, these are All Sorts again, but as you can see the shape of them, they're a Bandam shape. Okay, so these are the Bandams. Very similar to the dumbbell shape, and the shape like that basically so that you can get a band around them really nicely and easily, and the band stays on there really well. These are 6mm in size, so these are quite unselective as well. These will catch anything. As you can see, there's an assortment of colours in there. but they're a 6mm and they can catch anything. So again, they're very good in winter, but they're good on F1 venues as well, because as you can imagine, F1 venues, certainly some of them, the fish are quite young, you know, or they only might be a pound in size. So with fish that sort of size, you don't want to be fishing with big 10mm baits. You want to be fishing with 6mm, or even smaller like the minis, but the 6mm is just a great all-round kind of size. So I carry some of those. And then the final ones that I have in here are larger sizes again. These are 10mm, and these are washed out boilies or wafters, okay? And as I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar, washout baits, the idea behind washout baits is, if I compare the two for you, if you can imagine, if boilies have been in the water or on the lake bed undisturbed for any sort of period of time, then the colour starts to wash out of them. And the theory being, you can see the difference in colours there. They're the normal all sorts as they are, and they're the washed out ones. They're a slightly paler, more pastel colour. Okay, and the idea is that larger, bigger carp that are very wary, they sometimes, according to the carp anglers, I haven't got any proof of this, but I love the principle of it, and the theory is that a bait, when it's that colour, is still very, very fresh and it's not been in the swim very, very long. A washed out bait could suggest that that bait has been laid on the bottom for quite a long time. Therefore, the older, bigger carp can, or they suggest, will associate that with a little bit more safety. It's a safer bait because it's been there so long. They might have swam past it 20 times and it's still there. It could associate safety with that bait, and that is why they sometimes are able to pick out bigger fish on washed out baits. Now, the general theory behind those is, and it's something that I've spotted as well, is that the washouts tend to be better in clearer water. Okay, so when you're on a venue that's coloured, the stronger, brighter colours can be great, but when the water's clearer, like in winter, or the water clarity is much, much less and clearer, then the washout baits can be great for that. But that doesn't mean to say you can't catch on them at this time of year during the summer months. And that is it. That is all I carry. The only other baits I will carry are obviously natural baits, and I carry them separate, whether it's dead reds, worms, but that's a different ball game. All the questions I've been getting are about this sort of a bait, and as you can see in that zips away really nicely. It's not too bulky, goes in the bait bag. And the only other baits that I don't carry in here, these are the ones that I will call my mainstay kind of baits. Alright, so I will take these to my peg every time, through winter, through summer. Okay, now the only other commercial type baits like this that I would use that I don't carry in here are the ones that I would call perishable baits, and they're the kind of pre-soaked pellets that you see. Now they don't tend to last as long. Once you've opened them, they don't last as long. Okay, they do have a bit of a shelf life on them. These sorts of baits will last for months and months and months, even years if you look after them. Okay, so the more perishable ones, so they might be pre-soaked or ready to hook pellets. I'm sure you've all seen them. They're softer, a little bit squidgier, and they're the ones that once you've opened, they will have a shelf life once the air's got to them. So I don't carry them in here, I just carry them in a separate bag. But it's not very often I use baits like that with the style of fishing that I'm doing. I hope that's going to be of interest to you. I know a lot of you have been asking about that sort of thing, and I will be doing another video around this a little bit later on in a bit more detail, but that's basically it. I've been getting lots of questions about that, so I hope that's answered quite a few of your questions. I'm going to go and edit the video now for this week. I've also had questions about the merchandise for the channel. Lots of people have been asking about the mugs. There we go, the Catch Fishing Channel official merchandise. Lots of people have been asking about them. These are all readily available now. There's different styles on there on the website. Okay, so it's the Catch Fishing Channel .co.uk website. I'll put the link underneath for you. All these mugs and things are available. We've got the match diary as well that a lot of people have asked about. It's just official merchandise. I know a lot of you have bought them for friends. The mobile phone waterproof cover to keep your phone nice and dry. It's all available on the website, and there are gift cards on there as well as some dates for coaching. So if anyone's interested in that, just check it out on the website. So I'm going to go and edit this video for you. I will be uploading that right here on this channel for you. And don't forget, if you want to see more in-depth, detailed videos, then don't forget to check out Patreon TV just there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next session video over the next couple of days.